Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Boy, I'm excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here is a quote just for this episode. Concentrate every minute on doing what's in front of you. Marcus Aurelius. Today's guest is a pleasure for me, and I believe all of you. Mike Hoogheem, the Chief Operating Officer, partner, one of the what is that? One of the foundational rocks to the Pavement Group. Yeah, I was trying to think of a clever thing to say there and failed miserably. Mike has been a good friend to myself. He's a big part of what makes the Pavement Group successful for in a very short period of time. Actually, I believe it was the day before his birthday, one of his birthdays, he came into the Pavement Group, and things have just improved ever since. And I picked this quote because Mike is the type of person that gets things done. So listen to him very carefully on this episode for words of wisdom. Thank you for coming on the show, my friend. And
Absolutely. Sorry, I was just writing a little thing down here. So absolutely. Thanks
I
for
think
having
I
me
want
on.
to say Gibraltar, like the Rock of Gibraltar. I was going to say, like,
They call me the silent assassin in the Pavement Group. I gained that name probably, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. And it's just I think it's because um I try to take an overarching view of everything at the Pavement Group and not really get too deeply involved with calling people out, things like that. So it's like I take a 30,000 foot view, but if I need something done, I put the bullets where they need to be. So
in the I was looking at in the beginning, you were head of capital projects, and today you're the COO of the organization, among as well as partnerships. So for the listeners that are following our show, what advice do you have to somebody that is seeking to move up and create their career and not just wait for life to happen to them?
uh outwork everybody around you. Put yourself in the position, right? And really, I guess I do it a lot in my life with my hobbies. With if I have a new hobby, I go all in. I don't just kind of dabble around with those things. So in my changes in my careers, I guess I really just buy into what we're doing, and then it goes from there. And really, sometimes it snowballs to a point of moving up. And I've always felt if I outwork the next person, I mean I will always end up beating that and taking that position. But it's truthfully just put yourself into it and continue to grind as hard as you possibly can to it's never been, I guess, Jay, to like I've never tried to climb to the top of a ladder, because if you try to do that, I think you miss the steps, right? I mean, if you're really trying to just jump to the top, you're going to miss the steps. And I've really just worked my way from the beginning of what I've in my career to from assistant man. I've always been a leader, so it's like I guess I've always been to a spot where I'm going to go in, I'm going to say my piece, people are going to listen to me, and I project that leadership. But at the same time, I've learned through the process that it's like if I go too fast, I'm going to forget about something or I'm going to miss something, and it's always been just put your head down and go.
Do you consider yourself a competitive person?
You know, I'd like to say yes because I just like to say yes, but it's not really about competition. I mean, I like winning. Winning, I mean, obviously I don't like losing. I don't believe in participation trophies and things like that, but I don't need to necessarily compete with somebody next to me to beat them. It's like I feel like I'm competing to better myself, and then I'd like to bring as many people with me at the same time. So I think I'd probably be a better coach competitively than a player competitively.
Really?
Yeah.
For those that don't know, what is the Pavement Group?
The Pavement Group is a nationwide asphalt and paving contracting company. We started, actually, Brian started, I would say 2018. I met Brian way before that, probably in 13 or something. I think he only had two children at the time, and I think I only had one child at the time. So the news yesterday, the family keeps growing. But I think it was like probably 2013. Brian came into my life, and he showed me that I had much greater potential and to make bigger goals at that point in time. We worked in another company. That company was then sold, and Brian moved on and started the Pavement Group with a couple other people. I was partner number 4, I believe, at that time, because of my knowledge and my expertise in the industry. I fit right in. And at that time, we had very large projects that were going on that were really like the beginning parts of the company. So my title at that point was Director of Capital Projects, and I was in charge of these large paving projects across the country. And then things have changed since that time, and my title is now CEO. I've moved up into the silent assassin role, but we we've seen incredible growth. We started as, the company started as 2 people, went to 3 right away, and then within about 5 months of the inception of the company, I was number 4. I believe now that we employ 33 or 34 employees. So in that 4 to 5 year period of growth, we've become a multi-million-dollar company with many employees that do incredible things for us. So
Is that what's it like to look back?
it's tough. I mean, I don't want to say it's tough. It's like the amount of work seems more now than it did then. I used to carry a wheel and look at parking lots and walk around doing the scopes and the actual, I've never driven a paver, operated a paver. Tony Gross going to give me for the driving paver thing. So, I've never operated a paver or done the work myself, but I was in the trenches of the sales department early on, right? So I've come to now where I'm overlooking the operations of a multi-million-dollar company, multi-tens of millions of dollar company. So it's been a transition for me to learn how to run a business, own a business, be a partner in a business that has had exponential growth from where I came from. I was a green sales guy when I first started doing this, and I props to the people who helped me up in the industry in the beginning that gave me the opportunity, but it really was 2017, 18 when I really realized that there's other opportunity. 18 probably when there's other opportunities, and to really kind of push myself to these bigger goals. And ever since, it's been a whirlwind of emotion and work and late nights and early mornings and setbacks and the big wins and all of that stuff comes along with it. So it's been pretty amazing.
What advice do you have to an entrepreneur listening that's in that season of the work, that's hanging on by a thread?
I would say make your goals bigger, because that's one thing I wish I had learned 20 years ago instead of 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, is that make your goals bigger, and the plan to get to those goals is the important part. But making the outlandish bigger goals, because if you set small goals for yourself, you're going to have small results. So you might as well make that goal as big as you possibly can, because if you work hard enough and you push it on the effort that it takes to be an entrepreneur and all of that stuff, if you do that day in and day out, you will get to your goals, and you might as well have made it, worth it. So
What types of problems arise for companies when they don't have a partner like the Pavement Group in their corner?
for our clients is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what the Pavement Group does is we help plan, and we use our resources to bring all of that together. So if there's a customer with multiple sites, let's just say somebody has 155 sites, it's really hard for them to get a grasp on what they have going on there unless they've had some sort of plan in the past. So what we do is we help assess the properties, figure out where the baseline is, where they're at, what kind of money that they're going to need to be able to allot to all these properties over the next 3 to 5 years to be able to get them back on track. And it's been very productive, and the clients that we have are very obviously appreciative to be able to to rely on somebody to help them through that process. It takes a lot to manage 150 properties for 1 or 3 people or a team, and if they can rely on somebody else with a good set of eyes and, experience and a network of contractors and all of these things, it really puts time back in their own hands, to be able to, choose how they use that instead. So,
Well, why is it valuable to the customer?
why is it valuable? Because you
Yeah.
can't get your time back, right?
Mm.
I mean, if you're going to spend 12 hours a day working and you can hire a company, well, let's just say it this way. You're going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day working, and you're still going to hire somebody to do these projects for you. Why wouldn't you hire the company that's going to give you 2 to 3 hours per day back? Because they're the ones that are giving. You're going to hire somebody anyway to do the project, right? I mean, we aren't the cheapest. I'll honestly say that. Sometimes we are, but to be able to partner with a team that is able to call the network. You may have a property in New Mexico that you have no idea how you're going to get somebody out there, but the Pavement Group's got 6 people in that area that we could send out there tomorrow to get your idea of what needs to happen, or we can make that project, happen. So our network, our professional salespeople, our estimators, all of those people have been trained to look at the client in a way that we're helping them get time back, and we're the ones that are taking up and doing the work and offering our skills, abilities, and network, and all of the things that we do, we're offering it to our clients so that they can have more time with their families, more time to do their other projects, and more time to do their other jobs. And it really comes down to, if you have more time, if I only had to spend 9 hours a day instead of 10 hours a day at the office, I got to spend an extra hour with my wife and my children, and that would make me a much happier person.
Mm. What about that originating business plan or people, the 3 people that Brian, you're really sure Brian gave you the chutzpah, right, to go that way versus go another vertical?
So, I mean, I was already in the industry, and there had been a conversation between me and Brian, let's just say a year or so before that. It's like, I know exactly where I was. I was driving in a vehicle, and I was driving down a highway in Green Bay, Wisconsin, going towards a job that I had out there. And I said to Brian on the phone, I said, why don't we just do this ourselves? And he's like, oh, because there's so much more involved in it. It's like, so our thought process started, it was probably 2015. I mean, we really started thinking about what we could do and why we could do this. Truthfully, the company that we worked for was a privately owned, self-performing contractor, that was purchased by another larger competitor. That's really what caused the whole thing to start, right? So when our company was purchased by a competitor, Brian had the option. He left that company, went back to Pittsburgh and worked in Pittsburgh, worked from Pittsburgh, and I stayed with the company that I was at because it was local. I had a family. I mean, my pay was still there. And I made it about 4 to 6 months, and it was just like the culture was not the same as it was before we were purchased. Because truthfully, we were purchased by our competitor. We were trained to sell against that company that now we were part of. So there's a lot of things that you could see inside the company that that you understood why you were winning jobs against them in the first place. So
Wow.
I made it for probably, I think you said it was like 2 days before my birthday when I came over, but it was August. My birthday is actually 2 days from today. So it was like, I think you got it mistaken, but so it was in August, I believe, and the purchase.
You're right. I thought it was August.
No, my birthday
That's
is
like an
Saturday,
embarrassing.
Jay. It's Saturday. It's okay.
Yeah, this Saturday. Yeah.
This Saturday, like
I
not
just
today,
forgot we
but
were in
the next.
December. No, I just I just don't want to admit. I'm like, you have
Oh,
your wires so crossed, you're like in 2 different
right.
dimensions.
I don't know what day of the week it is half the time, Jay. So, but so I had the opportunity to. I mean, really comes down to there was multiple jobs that were sold by the Pavement Group and Brian that allowed me to come over, and making that change was not simple. I mean, I had young children at the time. I was making a really decent salary and some commission from the other company, but I knew it just wasn't right anymore. I mean, the culture wasn't the same. I just knew it wasn't right anymore. So I took a considerable pay cut. And I came to the Pavement Group because I knew I had so much trust and whatnot of what was happening and the vision that Brian had put in place that I just knew it was the right thing to do. And truthfully, for the first 6 months, I was a self-employed contractor being paid through Venmo and Apple Pay. It was so early, we didn't even have payroll set up at that point in time. So I mean, we were paying each other with Venmo. You can only send so much money to each other because, well, first of all, there wasn't very much, so you can hardly send anything. But there's limits on those things, right? I mean, you can only send a certain amount of money. So then we're paying each other. The four of us were paying our salaries to each other through Venmo and through Apple Pay and Zelle. And I'm trying to think of what the other one. Yeah, there was like three or four of them that we pushed money around on. And but yeah, there was a time there was not a lot. I mean, it was not a scarce mentality, but it sure was an abundance at that time. There wasn't the things that we can do now to support our communities and things like that. That was just then we were supporting ourselves, and that's really what it was at in the beginning. It was a way to support our families, to get away from the culture that we felt was not right for us anymore. And we had big goals, and that's where my idea of the bigger the goals are in the beginning, obviously, the further you can bring yourself, because we had big goals at that time. It was, our first leadership meeting that we put together, we wanted to be, $150 million paving company. And then, we wanted to be top in our industry, and we wanted to have all those things. And we've really set out for those goals. And within 5 years, we're relevant now. I mean, there's financial ability to hire 32 people. There's financial ability to give back to the organizations that we give back to for nonprofits and all of that stuff. So the plan is working. Truthfully, the plan is working, and it just the harder that we put ourselves into it, the better it's been. Truthfully, it's still hard to think about. So
For the listener that's they're in that first few years,
Mhm.
what type of work ethic and focus and direction would you advise?
Mhm. I think back to like my wife asking me what I was doing on a Saturday morning. I have a large part of the things that I do are technology related, and the apps that have been created, and you know being able to put that stuff. I remember Saturday mornings, my wife saying, "Why are you in front of your computer? It's like 11 o'clock. You've been down there for 4 hours, and those times were tough, and I would always just say I'm working, and a lot of people around me didn't get it, but I mean, it's like I knew what I needed to have done. And the unfortunate part is that there was people in my life that probably didn't get enough attention from me at that time, and I'm trying to make that different now. But really, that drive that you have to get to that goal in the beginning is really what it is. And you have to really, you got to sacrifice, you have to work for it, and the things just don't come free or easy, or all of the cliches that you hear. You just have to do it. I mean, you got to put your head down. You got to have communication with the people around you, choose good people, and just really trust the process, create good processes that you can trust, and really just put your head down and work.
What are some of the the values, or what's the spirit of the Pavement Group at this point? How would you describe
Um, the spirit of the Pavement Group, everybody that I've talked to, it really enjoys working for the Pavement Group. I enjoy working for the Pavement Group. There's things that we wanted in the beginning, such as, we wanted openness, transparency. We wanted to have a workplace that was family oriented, and where people didn't feel like they were just grinding away, slaving for a boss or things like that, because those are the things that we wanted. Those are the things that we saw in other parts of our careers that were really discerning to us, because you work daily in and out. You take that time away from your wife and your kids and the people that like I just mentioned, where I was working for ourselves. But you take that time and you're giving all that fruits of those benefits to somebody else, and if you feel discredited or disrespected, or like just like a number, I mean, it's tough to go to work every day. So we created a spot where, you know, we respect our employees. We probably, you know, we pay our people very well. We share information. We share finances. We're transparent. We're open. We don't lie to each other. All of those things that we've done here were for ourselves. And like I said, at the same time, we want to bring people with us. We
Mm.
want others to feel that same thing that we were looking for from the beginning, and we want to be able to share that with the families and all of that that come along with this. So,
What do you tell the apprehensive business owner? Oh, that sounds too
comprehensive
much.
benefit.
They'd rather just not think about those things. And
You can't. This day and age, it's so hard to find good people that want to work for you. You have to give them a reason. Just like, I mean, like your clients. I mean, they're already working with somebody else, so you have to
mm,
persuade your client to come work for you or work with you, to allow you to perform their work. So whether it's, you know, there's reasons why people jump ship. It's usually money, culture, and truthfully, that's probably it, right? I mean, money and culture. So if you can't provide those benefits to somebody, why would they come work for you? And you know, so I would say to somebody else that would be either struggling at hiring people or you know their churn rate is really out of line or something like that, is it's usually a culture problem. And sometimes you have to pay to fix that, or sometimes you just have to like lose to fix that. So it really comes down to the what you have to offer your people is either going to make them stay or make them leave. So,
what's it look like to be a sales professional within the Pavement Group? What's that job
um,
description?
I've actually never been a sales professional in the Pavement Group, so it's hard for me to say that. I've carried a lot of roles here in the Pavement Group, but I've always kind of been in more of the operations roles. Um, uh, I think, you know, I was a salesperson in my old career or my old company, but it's really, I was more of like technical. I mean, I was able to
Mm,
sell transparency and technique and technical information really got me my jobs and creating relationships. I mean, that's the biggest, I mean, I guess I can create relationships on both sides, but it was the relationships I had with my clients that getting me more work. I think at the Pavement Group, what we've really tried to teach people is that the relationship is first. And the more you put yourself in front of your clients, the more opportunity you're going to have to close deals with those clients. And it really comes down to the relationship that you have with them. And the price is not, I don't want to say never, but the price should not be what we're selling our clients on. It's the value that we're offering them, whether it's
mm.
assessments or whether it's portfolio views or whether it's just turning a piece of work right away for somebody or you know whatever it may be. It's usually not based on price. It's based on our ability to give the value to the client. So as a salesperson in our company, I think that they see that because we project that as you know owners and as leaders, they're able to project that right down the line. And I mean, there's unlimited potential to be a salesperson in this industry. So you know, we've got some people that are very, very good at what they're doing right now.
Mm.
And it's really kind of cool just to watch how that blossomed from Brian and myself doing it to now there's so many other people. You know, Eli is, you know, we brought Eli up from the beginning, and now he's running a whole team of salespeople because he had the mentors of Brian as the sales mentor and me as the operations mentor. And he's just been able to flourish into that position that we all know that he's doing. So
Where and you guys were going to meetings in the beginning together, correct?
yeah, yeah. It was me and Brian. Yeah.
What
He's the
what it,
hunter, I'm the farmer.
what'd you say?
I said he was the hunter and I was the farmer, and we would meet together. And the clients that me and Brian have met throughout the years and put ourselves in front of and made promises to, you know, 5, 6 years ago, we still have those clients to this day. One of those clients is really my responsibility to this day, even though that I'm not the salesperson, but I made some promises 4 years ago to certain people that I still keep to this day, and I keep my hands on that at all times. So,
Wow.
but yeah, it's not as much of me and Brian in rooms and meetings anymore as it used to be. Actually, I sat with Eli the other day, and I took the same role that I would have with Brian, but it was with Eli. So, you know,
Wow.
and Eli honestly he's Brian Jr. because he started with us at 17 years old or something like that. And he has sat with us so long that he can pretty much he can he can like replicate either me or Brian at this point in time in the position that he needs to be. So I mean, it's like I don't know, like a godchild or something you want to call it. I mean, but yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Amazing.
it's not really me and Brian sitting in those types of meetings anymore. We're sitting in accounting meetings and meetings with lawyers and meetings with potential investments and things like that. It's not really meetings of selling pothole patching in Ohio anymore. So
What makes the operation strong? Like an operations, the component.
communication. Communication. I mean, in a lot of the circumstances that I've been in the past, especially in a self-performing world, that there was a big wall between operations and sales. It was either the operations saying that sales sold it for too cheap or sold something that they shouldn't have sold, or it was a sales team saying that operations can't get it done right, or they're sloppy, or things like that. Our goal in the beginning was to break down that wall between operations and sales, and for the first couple of years, we were really oriented as a sales organization. That's what we called ourselves, was a sales organization that did asphalt. Um, Throughout the years, we've had to kind of rethink that a little bit because the sales organization was so good that all of a sudden we've got 2,000 jobs that we need to get done in a year, and perfecting that part has been a little bit different, a little bit harder. But we've hired several people that have multi-years of industry experience, so that I rely on and that I trust, pretty much trust with everything to make sure that that stuff gets done properly. But it's really been the communication between operations and sales that we've really spent a lot of time internally trying to perfect and make it so that we can um, sell more, perform more. You know, that's really the goal, right? Is to sell more, perform more. So it's not really been a struggle, but that has been a very key part of our growth, is to trying to keep that communication open, transparent, and then at the same time bring the people in that work well with each other to be able to make that happen.
What makes a good partnership as it relates to a company and their clients?
Partnerships. So we can start with the Pavement Group to our clients. Um, a good partnership to my client would be listening to what their needs are, but being open enough to tell them if I can or if I can't, if I can or can't supply them with a solution for those needs. I've learned that saying yes all the time is not the way that business should be run. You want to tell your clients, or you want to tell your customers that you can do whatever they want for whatever they need to have it done for, whenever they want to have it done. I mean, yes, 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 gets you more contracts. But at the same time, like you said, the operations part of that has to be able to be done. And sometimes, and then there's been multiple clients too that we've told that, no, we can't do that for you, or no, I can't do it for that price, or maybe we're not the right fit for you because this is what you're asking us to do. And I can't either legally do that or I can't operationally do that. And you're asking too much of us. So I can't do this for you. We're not the right fit. We've had to fire clients, or graduate clients. And, so I think a good partnership for the Pavement Group and clients is number one, that we want to do everything we can. We want to say the client's always right, but sometimes they're not, and we have to respect that and then do the right thing and tell the client the truth. If there's an issue, we gotta be honest about it and be forthcoming and say, that's what we're gonna do. But at the same time, I can't have you change the rules in the middle of the game. So we need to be able to have open conversations with the client and say, you're overstepping your boundary. You're not going to talk to my people that way, or I can't do that, or we did make a mistake and we own up to it and it's been repaired, it's been fixed, or whatnot. So I mean it's a fine line because you don't ever want to tell your customer they're wrong, but at the same time, if they take advantage of what you offer, or if they're telling you to do something that you just can't do, you have to be open about that. Otherwise, you're not doing anybody any justice.
What is there a way that, or go ahead.
And then I was gonna say, I mean, I think you had a question about what I just said. I was gonna move on to the next relationship. So I was gonna move on to, a partnership internally, like mine and Brian's partnership. What makes that so good is that it's symbiotic. There's two parts of it. And Brian's a big visionary. I'm a little bit more grounded. Um, there's been times that I've said, I can't believe I'm the one that's actually the sense of reason here because of my past experience in life, or who I used to be, or all of the things that I've done in my time that make me second guess my judgment. But truthfully, people have come to look for me for that judgment. They've come to look, come for me to come to me to look for that grounding. So I mean, I have to accept that. And I'm a different person than I was 25 years ago, but I have to accept that too, and really kind of take that to heart. But I think mine and Brian's partnership is that I I don't question his craziness or his goals or his wants or anything like that, and I allow him to dream big, and I find a way to make it happen. Right. I mean, that's my job is to, if Brian's got something that he needs to have done and he's got this big dream and it's going to take this amount of money and this amount of resource, and I can't, I mean, I can have judgment on that, but at the same time, I don't. I could, but it's like I trust Brian. I trust him with everything. There, like the question you asked earlier, how did you make the decision to jump there? It's because I trusted him. I trusted that, and my role is now to when he has those things that I either disagree with, that I have to have open conversations with, and then we work that out because that's just who we are. That's just what happens, or the things that I think that are really good goals. It's my job to help implement that. It's my job to make sure that we as a company get that, and that vision is cast throughout our company. It's cast throughout our whole organization. And I have to find a way to sometimes make that happen. But I think our relationship, it's really symbiotic. If I need something, he needs something. If I were to go to Brian and say, this means a lot to me, I know you don't agree with me, but this needs to be done, and I think it needs to be done, he's going to accept that. And that's likewise. If he really needs something, wants something, believes it's the right thing, and I don't think so, and he puts it on the line and says, I need this, Mike, I'm going to say I trust you. So I might not like it all the time. He might not like what I do all the time, but we're always looking out for the best interests of the company. Number one. Number two, it's our employees, and then number three or four is really our feelings. Truthfully, we put that stuff aside and really have goals other than our emotions.
Why do that order, company, employees, and then feelings? Is there something to that?
Absolutely, I think it is.
I think.
I mean, we're doing something here that not a lot of people do, right? If it was all about feelings, we'd have drained the money out of this thing. We would have, we'd be on boats in the Caribbean. The things that we still have on our goal boards and our dreams and aspirations. But if we really cared less about the whole scenario and more about our feelings, it would not have worked out. I mean, it just wouldn't. It would have been, because that's selfish, and selfish actions are not how we got here. I mean, we sacrificed, a lot of people have sacrificed, and it's not just me and Brian. I mean, it's the people that were here prior to, that are no longer here. It's the people that are still here. It's the some of the original people who, I'm not the only one that took a pay cut to come to the Pavement Group in the beginning, right? And I hope in the process of, to where we are now from where we were then, that the people that have sacrificed feel whole about it now. And I believe that's the case. I would hope so. But there was a lot of sacrifice in the beginning, just a lot between all of us. I could start naming people off, the number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people 10 people that were here probably sacrificed more than they really wanted to, but they saw the potential. So
You think there's a connection with sacrifice and ex explosive growth?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like everybody who sacrifices is going to have explosive growth. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of factors into the explosive growth that we've seen, 200, 300% year over year. I think there's a lot of factors, but sacrifice has a lot to do with that. I
It
mean,
makes me think of like war, the country where the people are sacrificing their what they have versus the country where people are pushed to fight
right.
and they feel like coerced into fighting. Who's going to win? It's.
Right.
I
Well,
think the
I mean,
former.
we could throw some country names out there right now. I mean, look at Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, good point.
The Russian army is forced into war. Ukraine is fighting for their territory. There's a difference between those two armies. I mean, whether you agree or not, you don't agree. I believe that the
Good point.
army of the Russian army put in that position doesn't really know what they're fighting for, and they're fighting for the fatherland that's telling them to do something. Where the Ukrainian army is fighting for their land, they're fighting for their families, they're fighting for their country, they're fighting for their only peace that they have left on this earth. And there's going to be a much different outcome um, because of that. I don't want to say it's going to be a different outcome because who knows, right?
Yeah.
But the struggle is different. I mean, if you want to say that, the struggle is different.
Inside joke. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So but 2024, 5, 6, what excites you?
Just to see the growth. I mean, it's been exponential to this point. I want to see the growth that our company does, what top contractor school can do, the growth in my family, the growth in, we're trying to expand into more marketing and all of that stuff. So the growth, I don't, it's not the financial growth because that's just what it's kind of the byproduct, right? Of all the rest of the stuff is the financial part of it. But I want to see the growth in our teams. I believe that we have a team right now that's a little bit younger. Most of them are I don't want to say newlywed, but within the first couple of years of their lives, married. So I think we're going to see some more kids. I think we're going to see, you know, probably a couple weddings. Those are the things that we've seen already as business owners for our employees. Is I know the Pavement Group has been involved in helping buy houses. I mean, I know that, and I don't want to say we bought houses for anybody, but the financial gain that our employees have received from working at the Pavement Group. And that part, I mean, I've seen multiple people buy houses. I've seen multiple people. I mean, I've been at multiple weddings. I've seen babies being born, and that growth part is really is what I want to see. One of our values is constant self-improvement. I want to see myself healthier. I want to see, I've really started reading a lot more. I mean, I think this year compared to last year, and I don't always read, I listen to books on audiobooks and things like that, but I bet you in the last 10 years of my life, I probably read one or two books. I think this year I'm up to 17 or 18.
Wow.
So which is a considerable amount of input going into my brain. So I think differently, I react differently. I've got different outlooks, different views. So I want to see that continue for myself and continually grow that way. I'm excited about the opportunities that the Pavement Group has with partners and with different um, nonprofits. And I mean, we've really decided that we want to give back to our communities. So I'm interested to see what that entails and how much we give back and where we can put ourselves. And because this is not just about us. There's a huge picture here, and if we're going to live in abundance, we have to be able to give some of that back. So